and situated, I also want to make a disclaimer. So as you guys know, what we're going to be doing, the stuff we're talking about, is basically, these are important truths of our faith. And that's why we're going, starting with God. Tonight we're going to talk about Jesus and so on and so forth. Yeah. And so a lot of what we do in class is not exhaustive. Like, there's so much more to know, so much more to learn, etc., etc. But I'm just kind of doing an overview, skim the top, give you guys an idea of what's important. Anyway, let's go ahead and pull out our notes sheet. It's the guy with the crazy hair.
Yeah, the goatee. You said
the goatee. And tonight, of course, we were talking about Jesus. And so the thing about Jesus, let me ask you this. What makes him special? What do you guys think? What makes him special?
He's perfect.
He's perfect? It's huge, huge. What else?
Died on the cross for us.
Okay, that's huge.
He's the Son of God.
Son of God. What else? They're all very, very easy. All true.
He could heal people.
Okay.
Came back to life.
Mm-hmm.
He can fly and he's invisible.
Alright! Let's scratch that one out. Not true. Anybody else? I couldn't resist. Go ahead. Yeah, exceptional. You're taught with authority. Okay. Anything else? Canadian? How do you Chinese? Bring it down.
Somewhat like a penguin.
Michelle, I won't stare at you anymore.
I know.
Alright, so basically, what kind of sets Jesus apart, obviously, are things we're going to talk about tonight, but Jesus made a huge deal about his identity, okay? And so if you look around and were to study almost every single world religion beyond Christianity, you'll find out that the main people they talk about are not central to their teachings, okay? Their religion, basically, yes, it was important to have certain people, but their religion will still happen without them. Alright, let's focus here.
No eating. It's distracting.
You can eat from your friend. Alright. But basically, the thing that sets Christianity apart from all the other religions is the fact that Jesus is the center point of Christianity. Okay? And so he frequently in the Bible, especially for instance in Matthew 16:15, he always asks people, who do you say I am? Because it's so important that we understand that. And so there are two things we're going to focus on. He was fully God, and he was fully man. Okay? And I know that just is mind-boggling when you really, really get down to the nitty-gritty and think about it, because you almost think, that's impossible, you can't be both. Because then, would God have to put away his God powers to be a man, but then wouldn't man take away from him? But again, like we talked about last week, is sometimes things of God are just far beyond us. We can't always understand them completely, but we do believe them. We have faith because it's something we can't tangibly feel or see or do, but we know it to be true. And so, what I've done is on this little guy, and I think I'm going to split you, Stacy over, and then Alicia over. You're two teams, okay?
Okay.
What I've done is I've hidden Bible verses upstairs, okay? And in a moment,
That involves more moving.
y'all are going to have to go find them.
That's going to be dangerous.
Okay, there are 20 of them. Listen, 20 of them. You're going to bring them and put them back down here. Everyone has to bring down at least one, but obviously some of you have to bring down more, okay?
Obviously.
And so you have to bring them down, and then you're going to split into your groups. Wait. You guys are fully God. You guys are fully man. You have to decide. Hey, Stacey. You have to decide which Bible verses go with which of these traits. And so when you figure it out, you're going to write it down next to it.
Can I go barefoot? Because my shoes
You'll be fine.
fall off.
All right?
Are the verses written on paper?
Yes, so it's a long strip of paper.
Is it like what are the teams again? You're
Stacy,
on
over.
our team.
Okay?
Okay. Are we supposed to put them in like two different piles?
No, just bring them all down, and then you guys have to sort them out and figure out which is fully God, which is fully man. And you have to answer the questions, okay? Like, put it next to it.
Okay.
Ready? Go! Yeah, go ahead and write them both down. These are for your notes. And I'm going to talk through them as we write them down. So basically, what we're talking about is Jesus' identity is critically important. So he was fully man. Alright, so the Bible talks about all sorts of things, but here are some examples. he was called the Son of Man, and I think they say it was over 80 times he was referred to as the Son of Man. And then he went through all of the human experiences. It actually talks in the Word about how he's been tempted in every single way we will ever experience temptation. Okay? But he came out sinless. He grew physically and mentally. It talks about, being a small boy, his birth. He was born to a mama, just like the rest of us, we won't go there. He referred to himself as a man. He was recognized as a man. People said that man, because obviously he was a man. He got weary when he was traveling. He got hungry. He needed sleep and refreshment. He expressed loving compassion. And he experienced emotions. Okay? But on the other side, you also have that he was fully God. Okay? And so he was called the Son of God. He had the same authority as God. He could forgive sins. He had the authority to judge people. He was omnipotent and omnipresent. So he says, as he's about to leave earth, he says, surely I'm with you always to the very end of age. Only God can do that. He could raise people from the dead. The story of Lazarus is what we use, but he himself was raised from the dead. He has power over nature. When he stilled the waters, calmed the storms. Sorry, I keep getting in your way. He had power over evil. How many times did he heal demon-possessed people? He got those demons right out of there because he could speak, and they left. He healed people all over the place. If you read through, especially the Gospels at the very beginning, all of his ministry was wandering around healing people and just preaching the word, the good news. And he knew people's minds. And so those are things that only a God could do. And so the reason that this is important, and I want to make a little disclaimer here, too, is that it is for you guys to beware. All right? And I know that sounds weird, but it's true, because there are a lot of churches out there that are preaching a lot of different things, but if they ever deny Jesus as either a man or as God, then you've got a problem, because they are not correct, because we genuinely believe that he was both, because he was both. And that's not something we can wrap our minds around fully, but he was, okay? And finally, the reason why this is critical, too, is because what we talked about earlier. I think, Stacy, you were the one who pointed out that he died on the cross. And the reason why it worked is because he was fully man. Well, what did they do for sacrifices in the Old Testament? It was animals. And they were what? Blemish-free animals, perfect animals. And so, to take away the sins, the priests had to prepare them and sacrifice them. Well, in the same way, God knew in his new covenant, through Jesus Christ, that he had to walk perfectly, which is something only a God could do, but die as a man. Okay? So he had to go to that cross. And at the same time, kind of like I just said, he had to be God, because no man can walk this earth and be perfect. Only a God could. And so that's why he is so critical. And so, basically, that's kind of the two most important things you will ever really need to know about Jesus. I mean, there's so much more. But that is the crux of what we believe. And so, basically, you have your things for next week, your journals. And if you go ahead and get this written down. Also, we need to sing Happy Birthday to Alicia. And then enjoy a treat. Yay. That's awesome. And also I wanted to let you guys know, if you ever have questions about what's being talked about, whether it's in the middle of it or afterwards, let me know. For instance, actually, and I'm going to pick on you for a minute, Stephanie, I was reading your journal, and you mentioned, for instance, that the struggle you had with an attribute of God was, for instance, unchangeable. And you made a very good point. She said, well, God is changing to a certain extent where, he's happy or he's mad, and he gets, it changes. True. You are so right. What we're talking about, and actually I wrote this down in your journal, is that God is unchangeable, for instance, in his being, in his character, in his purposes and his promises. So for instance, when he writes in his word something like, I work for the good of those who are called according to my purpose, he's going to work for the good no matter what happens. And so we can't look at a circumstance and say, oh my goodness, this is horrible and bad. We say, wait a minute, I know God is working for the good through this no matter what. Okay? And so that's the importance of faith, and that's the importance of knowing these truths. So, again, questions, by all means, holler at me. Okay, I think we're good for tonight.